This time I will call the Monday, June 9th, 2025 meeting to order. Welcome everybody this year. Thank you for coming. Will please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time I'll be looking for a motion to second the approval of the May 12, 2025. Second. Motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Green, I'll turn it over to you now for some special recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We always try to recognize our folks when they do outstanding things. And in this particular month, I thought it would be a good idea for us to pay recognition to some of our teacher leaders, district leaders who are out there doing things that go above and beyond, in our opinion. And certainly glad to have them here tonight. I promised them we would do it quick and get them out of here early. So if you don't mind, Mr. Ashworth, you have some certificates there, and you may have to dig through them. I may not be in the same order you are. So the first one is Dr. Kim McMinn, and Dr. McMinn completed the North Carolina Distinguished Leadership in Practice Program for Principals. Dr. McMinn could not be with us tonight. She's actually attending the Cooperative Innovative High School workshop, where she'll be early college next year, so she's at that today. We'll make sure she gets her certificate. But again, that's a very prestigious program. Wanted to say that on behalf of Dr. McMinn. That's a lot of time and effort, a lot of trips to Raleigh this year, and she certainly was recognized by her peers as an outstanding participant in that program. The next one I'd like to recognize is Mr. Adam Giles, who is assistant principal at Polk County High School and will now be principal at Polk Central Elementary. Adam Giles completed the assistant principal accelerator program, and by doing so, evidently it worked because he got him a principal job. Adam, you want to say anything about the program or anything like that?
I really enjoyed the program. It was a very humbling experience as well. It was refreshing to see other people across the state that were in the same position as me. We were able to share ideas, bounce things back and forth off one another, and we'll be able to do that for the rest of our careers. I really appreciate that.
Well, the Principal Association always does a great job with that training, so Mr. Giles got a lot of good professional development there. So thank you for driving back and forth and completing that. All right, good luck, Ed.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Our next person being recognized will be Tryon Elementary teacher Mandy Wolf. Do you have a little thing, Mr. Harkey, if you don't mind? Sorry, brother. While he's going down to get that, Mandy Wolf has led us now for the past few years in obtaining what we call Purple Star designation for all of our schools here in the district. And what that means, as you know, is that we are military friendly. We have practices and procedures in place so that if you have military families move in, move out, any kind of transition whatsoever, that we are committed to doing these things for military families. So it's a ton of effort on your part, and we really appreciate it, Mandy. You started with Tryon Elementary and then made us do the rest of the schools. So it was awesome. So we wanted to take a minute and say thank you for your leadership and recognize you tonight. All right, so come on up and get your students. Now, Mr. Perfect, take
Yeah, there you go. Cool. Yeah, you got that on this.
So we'll give Mandy a certificate, and Mandy's going to give you that honor there, Mr. Ashworth.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good job. All right.
Hey.
Our next leader being recognized tonight is Miss Lindley Foster. What you may not know about Lindley, this is a master's in school social work.
Yes, sir.
And she did it while she was working full time. And I have no idea how she did that. So Lindley, for your sacrifice, not only on the social work side, but going and taking all those classes and doing all that work, congratulations to you on your graduation. And you did that a couple Saturdays ago, is that right?
About a month ago. Yeah.
About a month ago? Congratulations. Awesome. We also have two folks here. One, Rebecca Morse, who's a teacher at Polk Central Elementary School. And we have Tiffany Dennis, who is a speech path for us. And also, I'm sorry, not speech path. Yes.
Teacher of the deaf.
You do teacher of the deaf, yes. And I don't know why I said speech path. Similar field. But she also does our after school program for us. Rebecca and Tiffany have been selected as Keenan Fellows for next year. And that is a very prestigious program. You might remember Eric Eaton was a Keenan Fellows for us last year. And so there was a lot of competition in getting that. It immerses these folks into a local industry or an organization. Does a lot of professional development for you guys. So congratulations. It took effort and time for you to apply, and your willingness to step up and do this extra work, I think, will pay dividends for our kids. So thank you for doing that. Rebecca Morris, Tiffany Dennis, congratulations. And the last but certainly not least, I don't know if you've ever taken the general contractor's exam or looked at that at all. But again, for a teacher who's teaching trades education to go back, study, do the work, put the time and effort in, and take the test, it's a beast for sure. And I want to congratulate Doug Lanning on earning his general contractor's license in support of our career technical education and construction program at Polk County High School. Congratulations. Congrats. If you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I would love to have a moment of applause for all these district teacher leaders, district office leaders going above and beyond for our kids and our programs. Y'all are welcome to hang around. Doug Lanning's got it. Thank you guys for going above and beyond. Thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. Appreciate it. And Mr. Chair, thank you. I think it's good for us to honor folks who go above and beyond. We take that extra step and do things that will help our district out. Speaking of that, Mr. Chair, our last recognition is very bittersweet. I think you know that in terms of the letter that you now have at your seats. And Mr. Fagan is going to be stepping into a new phase in his life, and I certainly congratulate him on that. And if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Ashworth, I've got some comments I'd like to make. Absolutely. After 17 years of dedicated service to the Polk County Board of Education, Mr. Fagan is stepping down as longtime board attorney. I believe it's important for us to share our appreciation for his service and support over the years. We congratulate him on his stepping back and hopefully enjoy more personal time with family and friends. Mr. Fagan has done so much more than just serve as the board's attorney and provide sound legal advice. He was a previous Polk County Board of Education member, helping lead the district through challenging times like during the city and county merger, which I'm sure was fun. He's been a steadfast supporter of public schools and the work we do. His wife, Joan, is a longtime educator for Polk County Schools. He has two amazing children who both attended our schools and have gone on to do great things. Mr. Fagan has also served as the Polk County Social Services Attorney for many years, again, being a strong advocate for children and improving conditions and support for struggling families. I could go further and discuss his other philanthropic work and behind-the-scenes efforts, but we will never know all that he's really done in support of our county and citizens. And Mr. Fagan was clear that I needed to be brief. So we are fortunate that Mr. Fagan always did more and asked for less, which is a rarity in this day and time. Mr. Fagan, I know I speak for the board and all of us at Polk County Schools as I offer our sincere thanks for your service to our students, staff, and schools. Your commitment to our entire county and its families has been beyond significant. Please know that you will be remembered fondly as a very important part of this amazing collective we call Polk County Schools. And I would like to thank you personally for all the sage advice and wisdom you gave me over the years. It's certainly better for us all when the board and the superintendent can get along and work together, and you've always been a key part of that equation. I appreciate that. Thank you for looking out for all of us and for being a passionate champion for public education. We wish you the best in your future pursuits and hope you'll enjoy stepping back a bit. You'll always be part of our family, and I hope you'll return to visit here with us. There are lots of good opportunities for us to reminisce, I'm sure. Thank you, Philip Fagan, for taking care of us for so many years, and congratulations. Mr. Ashworth, I know you've got some words you'd like to say. And then, Mr. Fagan, I'm sure if you'd like to say them, you can. But we have a plaque for you there, Mr. Fagan, and I'll let Mike take it from you.
I can't do much more than what he just had all. Give us the last few years, 1 years the chair. Thank you for everything. And in true Mr. Fagan fashion, when he started, he said he would not be deterred. He didn't want the recognition, but we do really thank you so very much. Just for everything. Anybody else like to say anything, Mr. Fagan? Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, when you said 07, I thought, really, has it's been that long? And then you worked on the board, right?
Right after.
Right after, but you still had to deal with it.
I was on the board.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for the recognition. I appreciate it. I don't know how deserved it is, but I appreciate it. I will say this, it has been as I said in my letter, it's been a real learning experience. And it's also been a pleasure to serve the board. Maybe an exception to that would be during the pandemic. Some of that was not a pleasure. As you know, because we are the guys who bore the brunt of that pressure. It's been good. I wish you the best. You're a good board. You've done a good job. I know you'll continue to do a good job. I was very fortunate to have both Mr. Miller and Mr. Green, extremely competent superintendents to work with, and I'm sure Mr. Murphy will be the same. And I'm sure you're going to get good future advice from Campbell Shatley if that's who you deal with. The only thing I encourage you to do is ask questions. Ask questions of the administration. It can be done nicely. But not only are you educating yourself, but you're also educating the public. Since these meetings are public, people hear. I think it's nice for the public to hear what you are thinking about and your discussion about things. And the other last advice I give you is take your board attorney's advice. Which you did most. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Craig. All right, then moving along under instructional, the first thing we have here is the sequence plan. Mr. Josh Hewitt.
Yes, Mr. Ashworth, Mr. Hill had a recent family issue pop up that he had to attend to, and I told him I could run down this road. This career technical education plan, if you recall, when he's come to present before and talk about the different programs, something we've been very proud of. He's made a lot of progress, not only in certifications, but in expanding the programming that we have. This is a great slide up here. You see that our graduation rate for CTE completers is about 99%. Usually if we can get kids wrapped into the career and technical education program and they take more than one course in a particular field, they tend to stick with it and graduate at very high rates. The other statistics I think are really good there is those work key awards. 97% of those students who are participating are achieving some type of work key award. That means they're demonstrating competence and proficiency on the assessments that they're given in their particular field. 926 participants, 176 concentrators. So in a school of 600 kids, what that ought to tell you is that kids are getting multiple concentrations, multiple sets of coursework in under their belt. I think that speaks well for them and for our program. And then finally, this right here is what's recognized in the work world. That many credentials being handed out to kids. Even something as simple as OSHA 10 makes a person more marketable when they go to that construction site or they go to that job interview. And so I'm very proud of the work that the high school's done, Mr. Hill, especially in forwarding our different programs there and supporting people like Doug Lanning. The reason Doug Lanning was able to go and spend the time and energy and have the resources he needed to pass that test because Mr. Hill and Ms. Bean in that high school supported him to do that. So I think it's a great program. It's working well. There are no substantive changes for the plan next year. We'd like your permission to proceed with our ongoing plan. In other words, same courses, same man-month, same teachers and programs to move forward. And that's what we'll be voting on today, is that same plan that we've done every single year is still in place again. So happy to talk details if you want me to, but that's your 30,000 foot view, and I appreciate the work Mr. Hill and the high school.
Questions, Mr. Green? The actual item, we're looking for a motion to say approval.
Second.
Motion to second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Green, now we have the overnight field trip requests.
That is correct. You can see that we've got one to our Atlanta, Georgia, and that one is in March of next year. That is, they'll visit the aquarium, Martin Luther King Jr. Home, and the Institute of Technology. I think it's good for these kids to get away. They haven't taken a trip in a long time as a band, and I think it's certainly one that builds a lot of camaraderie and it certainly gives those kids good experiences. So Chaperone should be in good place. The band camp, they were not originally going to do an away band camp this year, but decided at the last minute that they did have a new camp that was going to take care of them. So Camp Way Back, which is something that they have done before and done successfully. I feel like they want to get down there and do a good job with that. They did submit it by May 21st, which would meet our 6-week deadline, even though June meeting's a little bit later than that. But I would endorse both trips and say that I think they're probably going to be good for the kids.
Any questions? Will be an action item. We looking for a motion and second for approval.
I'll make a motion that we accept the band trip to Atlanta, Georgia and the band camp.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7. Moving on under administrative, we have strategic planning. Mr. Tom Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board members, we had the opportunity to come to you last month to present a kind of final draft of our strategic plan, sharing that information with you. We've since had a chance to get feedback from our local community members and leaders. We are now able to come before you tonight to ask for your approval as a final submission of that strategic plan for the next 5 years, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Didn't have anybody suggest any changes from the business world, none from this particular body. We feel like we're in good shape with the goals and priorities. We feel like it reflects well what our stakeholders want and need out of an education program here at Polk County Schools. So, yes, sir. Love to move forward.
It is an actionable item. Look for motion and second for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Miss Debbie, what is here? We did. I can see you sneak in. Miss Lopez, you for the budget amendment.
Okay, in your budget packet, similar to last year, on Fund 2, budgeted 800,000. That's the one that the auditors want me to do at the end of the year to try to get everything tied down between the PRCs. So, I did that one. And then, Fund 4, I had to do a budget purpose between 20,000 and 9,000. That's and we're still working on some FEMA stuff. I think I still have like a check for, I think it's 13,000 that hadn't come in yet, so we're waiting on that. There's quite a few really things that hasn't come in yet, and it's odd because it'll start hitting like probably end of this week and next week we'll start getting a lot of these places will get caught up with us because we have to front load everything until they get caught up with us. Fund 8, there was an additional revenue for Saluda, and I also did the 800,000 because usually the adjustment is between Fund 2 and 8. And once I figure out exactly where I'm going to go with those, then I'll put more probably next week or 2. So,
Any questions from Ms. Lopez?
Mr. Chair, I think it's probably appropriate for me to add a comment at this particular time that 800,000 is a little more than you see us move at the end of the year. Again, the auditors want us to make sure that we're not having to move at the very last minute that we predict any overages we may have. The other thing is that we're not sure. We have had some reversions and even some money that's been held back right now. So Debbie and I are digging into that over the next couple of weeks, and we having conversations. But I'll come back to you guys on June 27th and give you a better idea of where we're at financially. Unfortunately, I think we're going to be more in the hole than we anticipated. But I don't want to say that number or get down the road until we have a really concrete idea of what that is. And we'll certainly be in conversations with the county government about how we need to be supporting going forward. But don't want to go down those roads until I have more detail and more information. And again, on that June 27th meeting, we'll come back with more of that. But that's why the figure is a little larger than we put up there. Usually it's 500,000, but we had to go a little bit. So, don't get worried. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Any other questions? It's an actual item once again. We look for motion and second for approval.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Green, back to you again for the end of year budget resolution.
So, Mr. Chair, this is the usual resolution that we ask you guys to adopt to allow movement back and forth between purpose codes here at the end of the year while Ms. Lovelace and her finance office are trying to get things cinched up, zeroed out, all that good stuff. So not anything majorly different than what we've done in the past. We would appreciate people of that particular resolution.
I do want to say that DBI has had a really hard time this year, giving us some of the data that we need for the end of the year. They're still doing updates on software because things are not flying down on their side. So that's one of our problems right now. So once I get all that data, and I think they're getting much closer. It seems like we have an update almost every 2 weeks, because they've had a lot of exceptions and stuff. So we'll get there.
We use up all I'm sorry.
There's more work.
All our FEMA money.
We pretty much paid for everything that we can out of FEMA, and they really stepped up, to be honest with you. I mean, they really did decline some things, but they have paid for what they said they paid for.
Good.
And I think we've wrung about as much out of them, as we can. In terms of what we can justify as a school system, I think they're still negotiating with the county on a few things, but because Dr. Schweitzer got in there early and really, loves that detail type stuff, and he went back and forth with them, he and Debbie have worked through it. I think we've got everything we needed, could have got. Yeah, it's been a good thing. It's been a good process. And Debbie's right. If you go type into Google right now, school systems and NC and money problems, you're going to see almost Winston-Salem Forsyth just announced a $42 million deficit. Wake County's coming out with a big one. What Rutherford County's position's in right now. So again, North Carolina with the federal freezes and their inability to get their head wrapped around our budget, it's a little scary out there. So again, that's important for that resolution to be there so we can move things around.
Sure. I think that's pretty straightforward, folks. But, any questions, please ask. If not, we'll be looking for a motion second for approval.
We approve the year budget for board. Second.
All right, motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Next, we'll go back to Ms. Lovelace for errors and omissions.
Yes, in your packet is our yearly errors and omissions for the board. Basically, I won't call it insurance because the attorneys, it's not really considered insurance. But anyway, this is a yearly.
I don't know what else you call it, but anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
But anyway, it's just, it helps out if you're in a position.
In all honesty, there's no possible way for us to know every little caveat of every law, administrative code, and procedure. And so it covers us, the board, especially in the event that we unintentionally did not or did something that we should not have, or didn't do something we should have. We've never really had to use it before for anything, but I certainly wouldn't want to go with that.
I would certainly recommend people approve. It's standard for all the systems.
Absolutely. NCSBA does this, yeah.
That is an action item once again. Looking for a motion and second for approval.
So, second.
Motion and second. I don't think there'll be any further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Green, we'll now go back to you for the Mr. Polk agreement for intercounty transfers.
Typically, I would say to you folks that this is our standard agreement that we have for the Saluda Township area. There's been a question raised. It was precipitated by one particular family in Saluda, but it caused a greater conversation with Superintendent Garrett in Henderson County and myself. And so I told him that I would engage you guys with this question. Right now, that shared agreement covers 612, not K-12. And the reason it covers 612 is because we've always had Saluda Elementary in Saluda, so there wasn't a need necessarily for Henderson or us to share elementary kids back and forth. However, there is a family that mom is working in in Henderson County and would like to take her kid there. And rather than go through, the discretionary admission process, which they could, their question was, why does, an older sibling get to do that 612, but I can't do it with these kids? It's worked out so well, with another student. So does this board have an appetite to modify the agreement to include K-5? The cons for that could be that if you could have flip-flop going back from Saluda Elementary to Hillendale or vice versa, you might get kids from Hillendale and us not have the capacity there. So there are some red flags there to consider as well. And if it is going to be just one or two situations on the K-5 side, are we better off keeping the agreement where it's at and letting them go through a discretionary admission process like anybody else would do? So I would throw this out there to you guys, let y'all think about it. Is there any desire to change that to go from 612 to K-12 on the shared agreement?
Well, it originated out of the fact that you didn't have 612
That's correct.
close.
That's right.
And it come down.
That's right. And I think that was the original intent, not to share elementary kids.
My motion would leave it as is.
Okay. Perfect.
That's much.
Motion is second. Any more discussion? All in favor to leave it as is, say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0.
I'll be sure to communicate that back. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Ms. Green, now back to you again for the Helene Emergency Fund approval.
First of all, I appreciate Dr. Schweitzer level of detail he's done in this work on Saluda. It is kind of crazy what he's had to jump through to get this all figured out. But here we are, standing at the precipice of getting this job done. So the retaining wall at Saluda, you can see the diagram there. They were just going to spray and cover it, and it was going to look absolutely horrible. Have you seen the stuff by the old Taco Bell in Columbus where that's all I did was spray it? Doesn't it look great? No, it doesn't. And so we have extra Helene emergency money to do the job. The other thing they didn't do is they didn't beef up the bottom level of it. They were just going to do the superficial thing. We want another little wall there. So this work and this money can't be spent on anything. The money can't be spent on anything else. The work needs to be done to finish the project in a way that I think we would consider to be aesthetically correct. And so we're just asking permission to use this, what is it, 69,000 going down there. Sorry. Yeah, you see that, that don't look great. Go ahead, Eli. There we go. 57, I'm sorry. Because it was over 50 grand, we need to get board approval for it. Again, that is Helene money that can't be used for anything else. There wasn't really a way to put the bid out because the contractor was already doing the work for this. So we didn't go through a traditional process. Again, it's a very unique situation. So I don't think we're going to get in trouble by approving the use of that money. Can't be spent on anything else other than Helene repairs. So we'd love to have your approval to go ahead and use that Helene funding for this particular project.
And this wall will be what?
This wall will be the retaining wall behind the building.
I know, but about what?
Be about a total of cost or?
No, what material?
Oh, it's in there somewhere. I should know. All concrete, I'm assuming. It's wire mesh.
Board wall.
Yeah, board wall.
That's all.
The one at the bottom will definitely be, they'll do a spray on the top, and then as it comes down, we'll have a board wall right there at the bottom. Yep. It's my assumption. Shaking no issues there. Okay.
Any questions there?
Good project.
Once again, for the action item, looking for a motion and second for approval. Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Green, old business.
I will defer. It is kind of old business, but we put it under new business. So we'll move it.
Then we move to new business.
Yes, sir. Before I get started on the listed new business, I do want to say a big thank you and a shout out to Jennifer Peeler and Tammy McIntyre. They're doing their summer meals again on Thursdays that people can pick up. In case you were wondering if there's a need out there for families, we had prepared 150 meals to give away on Thursday, thinking that was going to be enough. We had 308 people show up. Okay. when you go pay $12, $15 for a fast food meal, that's where families are. So I just want to say thank you to Jennifer and to Tammy McIntyre. Not only are they feeding families, but this also helps us on the revenue side. And I sure hope the government doesn't see fit to cut this particular program.
So we have enough funding to do 150 meals, is that right?
No, they just planned for it.
We just planned for 150 because we didn't realize it was going to have that many.
So,
They said it was 3 times the amount that showed up last year.
3 times. It just shows you where people are right now.
I know a lot of the homeschool parents took advantage of it because they're not getting the sunbucks and things that
Right.
the public kids are getting.
yeah, okay.
Anyways, I just want to say thank you to that team. The Stearns folks, after a long day, they had to put up with me at lunchtime that day, but then they went out and did the meals that night. I just really appreciate all that effort in helping our families out. It's a huge difference for them. Sure. Anyway. This board has been very patient with us in regard to our discussions about the cell phone policy. We have a current policy in place that dictates what we do about wireless communication in our schools. But with the advent of the House and Senate bills that are coming forward, we felt like it was important for us to revise our policy and have it ready for the school year next year. We were waiting to see whether the House and the Senate would get together on their wording. There are a ton of differences in their 2 versions, but there's enough where we thought they would have something for us by now. They do not still, and so we have decided that it's probably not a good idea for us to keep waiting since the school year will be in less than 8 weeks from now, probably 9 weeks or so. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about a few points here and then let you guys ask me questions if you want to. I think we can all agree, we have all agreed that cell phones need to be out of the classroom for students. We don't need them to have those cell phones during instructional time. Pre-K through 5 has been pretty easy. We just ban cell phones. We don't let them have them in pre-K through 5. That's an easy one. The middle school is also easier because if they do bring a cell phone, they're required to put them in their lockers and leave them. And that really, we have not had a lot of pushback on that. Parents and kids have complied with that pretty well. And I haven't heard any issues on the middle school side. Mr. Murphy, you were there during that time. It's not a big deal, right? And then finally, the high school and the early college will be where the rubber meets the road, ladies and gentlemen. So I think after the initial shock that certain teachers and kids may have, not teachers, certain parents and kids may have about this, it's obvious in other places this has already been done that it benefits kids and that they actually are the ones saying that it benefits them. So we've been watching the progress of those 2 bills. I feel very confident that when we do get to that point in time, a bill will come out requiring us to have a policy restricting the use of cell phones. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and what it looks like. South Carolina's version is already out there, as you know, so we've already got people in the interim who understand this world that we're living in. Just a matter of seeing what the details are going to be. But we don't feel like we can wait any longer to start getting ready for this. We do have an existing policy we've been analyzing to review and revise. And so that's the policy you have in front of you. In your packet on the very top is the revision to that previous policy, and hopefully one that will align with the bill whenever it comes out and is passed by the General Assembly. That existing policy is also included in this packet for you, but before you get there, you'll see a comparison of the Senate and House bills. Gave you that documentation right behind this revised policy for you to take a look at. You can see there's not a lot of substantive differences there. It's more in just kind of the details and what they say. And then finally, after that is our basically 1-page policy on our use of wireless communication. So you can see how that wording stacks up against the revised policy that we have in place right now. We'd like for you to take a look at this policy and actually approve it on first reading tonight so that you guys can spend some time with it. We can spend some time with it with the understanding that it's not final until we do a second reading, and we would love to do that on June 27th. If we were able to do that on June 27th, then we could start our public relations campaign with parents and kids in July, get Andy Reinhardt and our media sources to get that out there so people won't be shocked when they come back in the fall. The other thing that would allow us to do too is to align with other districts who are out there. And a lot of them are doing the same kind of thing at this particular time. So not new. That is my weather radio, guys, for a storm warning somewhere in the universe. We actually get a better insurance rate at the county if the superintendent has a weather radio in his office. That's for real. So, whatever. So that's why it's on it in there. All right, so we would like to begin our PR campaign in July so the parents and kids are not surprised. And that way, if there are people who are opposed or have strong feelings about it, they can get to us before the year starts and we can have those ongoing conversations with them. In regard to enforcing this particular policy, other than it not being a whole lot different than it is now, We are exploring the yonder pouches, and we believe that's a good crutch, for lack of a better way to say it, for teachers and administrators. And I'll tell you why I mean that. If Tanya's got her cell phone out in class, and that teacher has to sit there and argue with Tanya, it's the second time I've asked you to put that away. Some teachers are going to be more on the stringent side, some are going to be more on the forgiving side, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be consistent from classroom to classroom. So if we go down this yonder pouch road, and you can see the yonder pouch there, it's basically a little ball Faraday cage. The kid puts their phone in there. It's locked up at the beginning of the day, and then at the end of the day, they can unlock it. There will be unlocking stations you can have at different times, like lunch, if you wanted to unlock it during class changes. It's flexible in the way that you could implement this. But we do feel like looking at this program and it being a vehicle to help support our teachers and even our kids. In some ways, if the kid knows it's on them and it's locked up in that pouch and they can't get to it, they're probably not going to be as inclined to be fiddling or doing it or trying to get it out and play with it. There are a couple of other districts I know that Dr. Schweitzer and Mr. Murphy are talking to that have put these yonder pouches in place, and we'll continue to do that research this summer. But I wanted to throw that at you as well as a partner to the policy in terms of how we would enforce this and not make it such a battle between kids and teachers or administration and teachers. So it keeps the phone on the student's person. These phones are $1,200, $1,400. So putting them in the little calculator caddy on the wall is not advisable. Okay, and that's what some people are doing, putting in a little plastic box or something like that. Guys, something's going to get stolen, and then we're going to be considered responsible for it because we took the phone up. Right? Again, this helps you put it in that person. They put it in their pocket, put it in their book bag, but it's on them. It's their responsibility to keep track of it. So we feel like that yonder patch addresses some of that issue as well. Keeps them from getting lost, getting stolen. We'll continue to do research on that front, and I've actually, I think, included a little bit of documentation for you on the yonder pouches in this packet as well. It even addresses some of the questions and pushback that we receive from parents in regard to school safety. I can make a very good argument that when a school crisis happens, you want your students listening to the adult in charge of them, not on their cell phones. However, you could make an argument that the kid may need them at some point in time. Well, we have the ability to have teachers unlock these pouches. If you had a crisis, you can unlock your classroom pouches when you need to and be ready to go. So I don't think it's a deal breaker per se, but again, the advice from all safety experts is that that kid needs to be listening to that adult, not on their cell phone. And so that's our response back when people say, well, what about school safety? What if kids need them? That doesn't sit well, I understand, with a parent that wants that last text from their child. God forbid something that horrible happen. But again, I think it's better for us to go this particular direction and deal with that particular situation if it comes. You want your kids listening to the adults, not on their cell phones.
Now, how exactly does that work? How does it get along?
So in the morning, the kids would come in, they would have their pouch assigned to them, and there's a station they go by, click lock, click lock, click lock, click lock. So no different than them, checking into school. You could have one down at the student entrance when they come in the door, click, 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 click as they're coming in. So it's an extra step.
Keep the pouch.
No, they keep the pouch on their person.
No, but I mean, every day they get a.
Well, we're talking about that. Those are some of the details that we've got to spend the next month really hashing out. And is it that you assign every person a pouch, just like you would any other, a Chromebook or something like that? But we think it would be better for the kid to have the pouch with them, and then if they need a replacement, then they can buy the replacement.
How they came to the
So that's another question that I'll get to right here. I'm glad you asked it. So we have been in negotiations and conversation with the Community Foundation. I do not want to speak to their board. Nothing has been approved, but they are very much in support of this particular initiative and would be willing to fund the entire process. I believe they didn't approve that yet, but I believe they would. It is $50,000 on the front end. That's for all your pouches. 612, you'd have enough. What was it, 1,100 pouches? That was. And it also comes with materials, training, and support. And then it's $5,000 after that each year to keep the program running and keep your devices up to date. Again, the Community Foundation is willing to cover all that.
Now you just said 612. In the beginning, we said it works good.
Right now, we think we can come off that estimate and just do 912. If we're going to have middle schoolers leaving the lockers, then you wouldn't have to go that full-blown 612. But if we decided to do so, I want you to understand that we've got money for that. Let me continue, and then I'll summarize for you. Teacher use has also been discussed, and right now you've got an app on your teacher's phone that is very much tied to school safety. And if you have a critical shooter, a fire, remember the app we showed you guys with the teachers, they've got to keep their phones. I think the burden then falls on our administrators and our teachers to make sure that they're not using their phones in front of other people, and that's going to have to be regulated more. The expectation is going to have to be clear, and because kids aren't going to be able to have them in there, we're We have to be very clear with that on the teacher side as well. And then I have to adhere to the rules, but it is what it is. And we understand that that'll be a bone of contention in some situations. We do have those resources to share with you. I've also emailed you a white paper and some other stuff that's coming out at 8 o'clock tonight on a scheduled email for you. So as you're bored to death and you need sleeping material to read, you can do that at home. But that'll give you even more feedback on what's happened in other districts, what policies are around, and how things have gone. So the goal for tonight was just to simply get this stuff to you, to maybe get a first reading passed so that we can really dig into details. In the meantime, Mr. Murphy, Dr. Schweitzer, and I will be talking about the honor pouches, getting more details on that program for you. We were going to have one here tonight, but mail service isn't running real fast, evidently. But you can see it's a very straightforward product, very straightforward process. And I think that our big thing is, as you have burning questions, concerns, you can share it with us tonight. You can call us and share it with us as we work on this over the next few weeks, so that we come back on June 27th. We would love to have a policy in place and a plan in place so we can get people ready for that. I hope that made sense. It was awfully quick, and I'm ready for questions.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, you said something about having a student like a Chromebook. I think it's a little bit of a difference there. Chromebook requires some kind of customization. That doesn't.
No.
I just have handed them a random.
I shouldn't have said Chromebook. I should have said like a calculator. Like we have our kids check out calculators sometimes through the library. They have to keep them with them at all times.
Yeah, inside the school building, but they need to be.
Are you talking about the pouches? You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need, because I forgot my pouch. I left it at home. What do you do?
Right. No, then you got an extra pouch you have to use for today, and we'll charge you money.
Well, it's easier. You just keep the pouches here because you said you're funded. So
Certainly great feedback. I'd love for you to shoot to us. Yep. Great feedback. Okay.
I don't want to share. And is that the cloth? Are they covered in cloth?
Yeah.
So how are you sanitizing them?
That's why you've got to give it to each individual child. Let it be theirs.
Okay, you're going to.
You would assign it to you.
Well, I mean, I think that's better. Instead of.
No, the way we quoted it was for each child to have their own pouch, and it'd be checked out to you like a textbook at the beginning of the year, and that's your pouch. And just like a textbook, if you screw it up, we check you out another one and we charge you.
What do they cost? You big pushback on that?
Was it $30 a piece?
That's fine.
And you wouldn't necessarily have to charge parents that. You know, you could have, they may have a replacement fee, or we could have extras on the beginning. We wouldn't have to charge them quite so much. But then what's the answer to? Well, if you can't keep your pouch, you don't need your phone. Leave your phone at home.
So can a teacher unlock the whole classroom or specifically, or how?
We have to get those details. So we understand that you can have as many unlocking stations as you want. So we need to work with high school administration. That's what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks to talk about what are other districts doing? What does this look like in a functional setting in the high school? Is it that every teacher needs their own unlocking device? Is it that one teacher in that department could have it there so that, you know, kids can go by if they want? We've got to go through, are there portable ones that can move around? Are there some they mount on the wall so that when kids come in, they get them? And at the end of the day, you turn it the other direction and it opens them up. We still got to figure all that.
I'm going to consider adding a sentence or two about that it's mandatory for the students to use such security scores.
The pouches, you mean? We set that out on purpose, not knowing if the board would want to go the pouch direction. But
Right, I don't think you should say specific, such security storage.
the security,
devices
okay.
As the board deems.
You do.
Yeah, or administration.
Yeah.
And that way it's a different product or something else. Okay. Good deal.
So then you'll be looking for.
We would be looking for approval on first reading of this revised policy. And I think Mr. Fagan's suggestion I've noted that we can put down, so you can even make a motion with that particular addition.
I think that's what. I'll make a motion.
Second.
The motion is second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. Chair, I would ask, I certainly don't think it would be bad for you guys to talk with parents about how they feel about the restriction of cell phones in schools. But I don't want us to get too far out in front of things right now until we figure out exactly what's going on. So mentioning a yonder pouch or a penalty for what happens, if you don't mind, I just don't think that'd be great right now. Let's get through the second reading and approval before we start going down those roads, if that makes sense. Certainly, you guys are board members, you have to listen to you should listen to your constituents and have conversations, do that, but just help them understand that we're still in the development phase of all of this.
And furthermore, at some point, whether we adopt policy or not, must come from the state. I wouldn't like that.
That is the answer to all of it, is
Yeah.
whether we want it or not, this is the expectation. Even if I detach my personal feelings about this, which I feel very strongly about. But from a superintendent's perspective, it's coming, we gotta get ready.
Well, they passed it, so it's going through Knoxville Road.
House passed theirs, Senate passed theirs, it's gonna happen.
Gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. More importantly for me, it's at the bottom of that sheet right there.
Right. Yep. I agree. Mr. You have any business?
Other than, and Mr. Ashworth, you may want to talk about this in closed session, such as attorney-client, but just making sure that the board is prepared to talk about replacing for Mr. Fagan by August. We will need to have that board attorney in place by August. So just want to throw that out to you. I'm assuming that's a closed session, Mr. Fagan, attorney-client privilege.
Yes.
Okay, so we take that there. Other than that, Mr. Ashworth, I'm done.
All right. So then, you see the information presented to the board. You got the May preschool monthly report, a Head Start Policy Council minutes, pre-K financial report, the monthly financial report, the credit card report. Our next board meeting was April 27th at 5:30. And you do have NCSBA optional board training. First meeting summer leadership conference, June 16th and 20th, in West Beach. Board training, July 21st, at the NCSBA office of college. And then last, the advanced legal training for governance. I do not have anything for public input. So with that being said, I will be looking for a motion to go into closed session for purposes of discussing personnel and attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Nay. Motion carries 7-0.
You shut it all the way down, Eli. Thank you, sir. Guys, thank you all for coming so much.
Yes, that's true.